Okay, the last section of our series is called investing in the stock market. The reason why I wanted to do a video regarding that is because, first of all, the rules are a little bit different when it comes to the stock market, but also, the major big companies in the world, all of them are publicly traded. And, from where you are, if you have a little bit of money, you can buy a piece of share of that company. And I think it's a great way to actually to be a owner of a company, and then you don't have to necessarily start a company from scratch in order for you to reap the reward of that company. So definitely it's a great way to actually to make some money in the stock market. So, I'm just this is I'm gonna dive into the taxes in a little bit, but a couple of things to kind of mention is it's a great opportunity to actually for you to get involved with a company, that are just starting. And some company, as soon as they get out, they get their IPO, in other words, and their stock value just increases. I think a good example is like Facebook. I think it started around like $39 or $30. I don't know what it is, and then it jumped to $70, $80. So it's a great way to actually to participate into a company from the ground up, and then when it goes up, you actually reap the reward for it. And it can go the other way around also, where it can start and then really tank. So you have to do your due diligence and then study a company to see if you want to invest in there. um, the second way is, and then you can do this from there's that part that's a little bit easy if you have a brokerage account. So from a computer, you can purchase a stock and then sell it right away. And then there are three ways really that you kind of make money. And all of them, they're different, when it comes to taxes, about how that money is being taxed. The first one is, the appreciation of the stock. Let's say you buy something for $10 and then now it kind of goes to $30, right? So there's the appreciation. That's what they call capital gain. That's taxed one way. The second part is interest. You can get interest, from investing into the stock market. Let's say it's a mutual fund or something like that. You do get interest on that money. And then also the third one is like distribution, right? When the company pays dividends. So technically, there are really three ways that you will get money out of the stock market, and in all of them, they are taxed differently. So that's one thing to kind of like to more or less mention. And before we dive into the taxes, the majority of wealthy people that have a lot of money, like very financially wealthy people, they have stocks in companies. And I like to use like the richest people use like Bill Gates or from Microsoft, and then Warren Buffett from Berkshire Hathaway. They have a lot of stocks in their company, and they do have stocks in other company as well, but they do have stock on their company. So that's one of the things that I read, that and I want to believe it's true. It's not necessarily, but a lot of those people, they make money, basically when their own company is in the stock market. So they take something from ground and then start it. Bill Gates is a great example. So keep that in mind. Even though this is not taxes, we just mentioned about those three type of income: the distribution, the interest, and capital appreciation. Those are taxed, on your taxes differently. But let's get into the tax portion of it. So I was just kind of mentioning why it's kind of important to invest in the stock market. First of all, capital gain taxes is not the same as your regular taxes, your income taxes. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. It's different rate, and then it goes different way about calculating it. So capital tax gain is definitely different from regular income taxes. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind is, when you have that gain appreciation that I mentioned about. Let's say you purchase something for 10 and then now it becomes 30 and then you sell it, that $20 is taxed differently than the income from a W-2. So keep that into consideration. The second one is the losses. Now, one of the thing is there's a limitation about how much losses that you can declare in 1 year. And what do I mean by that is, let's say that unfortunately the stock market didn't work in your advantage, and then you lost $10,000. So technically, you can't deduct that whole 10,000 right away. So I think the last I checked, they have like $3,000 that you can deduct per year, and then it gets carried forward until you actually deplete that 10,000. So that's one of the things to mention also. Now, when it comes to taxes and in the stock market, there's what they call short term and then there's long term. So and then it makes a difference when it comes to how it is taxed. So what is the difference between short term and long term? Short term is less than a year, right? And then long term is actually longer than a year. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that whenever you are trading, is it gonna come as a short-term type of investment or a long-term type of investment? So that will affect your taxes, as well. Now, there's something also called qualified dividends and then unqualified dividends. So when a company is paying dividend, is it qualified or is it unqualified? So that's one of the things that you have to keep into consideration, because it does make a difference on your taxes and then how you're being taxed. Okay. And then also, to kind of mention this is basically, if you're a special trader, what do I mean by that? If that's how you earn your income, basically you trade every day, the way that the taxes apply to you is different, because they consider you as a daily trader. And I think you have to be making, above than 200 transaction, I believe it's a month or something like that, for you to be considered as a full-time trader. So keep that into consideration, whether you're a full-time trader or not a full-time trader. And then finally, something also to keep in mind is all of your activities should be reported. So in other words, is I do this all the time for my clients, where they have capital gains or capital losses from different company. You name the major one: Google, Apple, Samsung, so on and so forth. So every single of those trades, basically you need to put them into your return. So that's one thing to keep into consideration. And it's like, okay, to determine your loss or your gain for the year, all of those, they have to be computed. So keep that into consideration. At the end of the year, your brokerage firm will send you a form, basically, that lists all of your transactions, and that form, you have to give it to your accountant in order to actually to add all of your gain or all of your losses. That can be a little bit time consuming, but it's required, because the brokerage, I would say that they have rules to actually report this to the IRS, and then you have to report it on your own as well. So definitely there are some pros, and then there are some cons, when it comes to investing into your in the stock market. I think I gave the positive here. We just mentioned it in the beginning of this video. Taking advantage of a ground floor opportunity, or get income from those three different ways: distribution, interest, and then capital gain. So that's another way to go about earning the money, and it's just the way that it is taxed is actually kind of different. So for me, is I will highly recommend in some way, some shape or form, that you invest into the stock market. Let's say, and I'll give you a practical example. Let's say that you are a mechanic. You repair you repair cars, for instance, right? And you see that there is this phone company like Apple, that's, for instance, that's selling phone like crazy, and you want to take advantage of that opportunity, because you think like within the next 5 years, they're gonna sell a lot of more phones, and what it is you can purchase a share of Apple, even though that's not your industry, you're a mechanic, but you still can purchase something in the technology industry. And there's all type of industry in the stock market. You have the oil industry, you have the biotech industry, you have the technology industry. So it goes back and forth, and you can actually participate in the growth of the company if you invest in the stock market. So that being said, I think it's a great way, and there are some tax consequences to it, and you need to sit down with your accountant, and then more or less know, okay, the gain and then the losses. Do I get qualified dividend, unqualified dividend? All of those things, you sit down with your accountant in order for you to figure it out. Thank you.